Welcome in the final part of the Take a Break series. In part 1 and 2 we could see how I made this taper in the drum and how I welded up material on the shaft here and recut the taper and the thread. And these parts of course go together like this. And they are held in place by a key. So this time I'm gonna cut the keyways in the shaft and in the drum. Of course it's not enough to cut keyways. I also have to make keys that I have right here. Looks like I have to invest in new glasses. Right, this little piece is 8mm square and I needed 6. And of course it's 2 keys in one, and when finished I will cut it in 2. So let's one-hundredth undersize, 10 microns. For Stefan in Germany this would be now scrap, but for me good enough. They almost look like real keys, don't you think? Right, these of course come here, which means over to the milling machine and cut some slots. I installed the axle here on the table, holding it down with pieces of my old trailer that you can see right here. And all I have to do now is tilt the table and make sure that my indicator reads 0 when I sweep it over this little surface here. One-hundredth of difference over this length. That will do. The plan is to cut out this slot using my 5mm 3-flute little end mill here. But before I use this one, first I want to remove as much as possible material using the spot drill. Now this one is 4mm, this one is 5 and the slot has to be 6. So I will have to move my part a little bit left and right to center it, and I will use the dial to drill at 2.5 millimeter. Let's do this. It doesn't look completely right to me. Let's double check. Oh, it is right. Okay. That will work. They don't fall out, so I suppose that's a good sign. The last operation in this fun little project is of course to cut the key slots here in the drums. And this will be a quick one because cutting a slot takes less than 5 minutes. But it is of course the setup that can take a couple of hours. But I think I figured something out. In the table here there are these holes. I didn't make them, these are existing holes. And I installed 2 studs. And lucky I am, these studs now they fit with a little bit of wiggling. They fit the holes in the drum. The only little problem is of course that this part here is touching the rim of the table. If I hold it in more or less the angle I need, as you can see here now is a gap. And I think I'm gonna fill it with this piece of plate that I'm gonna cut at the right angle, which is more or less 1.5 degrees, and then make a spacer that fits between here. So I will push on this surface, and of course on this surface, which is square, with the shaper over to the milling machine. First of all I will clean up this saw cut a little bit and make it more or less parallel. It will be easier to hold it in the vise like this after. The surface finish will never win any prizes, but for what I need this thing good enough. Because this plate has a slight bow in it, I think I'm gonna clean up both surfaces, make it nice and flat, and then turn around and cut this side at 1.5 degrees. Right, let's do the other side. That of course needs to be cut at 1.5 degrees. So good so far. The angle is not perfect, but really close. I think it will be easy to shimmy it up and have it perfect later. So now let's drill these holes here. While I was making this cutout with my yellow toy here, one moment I hear this slight popping sound and I was standing in the dark here. So I don't know what happened. There is probably something terribly wrong with my angle grinder here. Now luckily the electric panel isn't far away, so it was a quick fix. And I cut it out using my other angle grinder. So this one, upcoming project. I think this will be perfect. To give the thing a little bit more rigidity, what I want to do is pass two studs in these holes here, and then with a piece of angle iron bolted in this hole, and then weld this stud in here somewhere, of course cut a piece off, and then I can change the angle if I want to. That could work. Because I installed nuts on both sides of these studs here, it's very easy to adjust the angle. So now I am completely set up and ready to start cutting. This video is not made for kids. Shaper porn. As you can see, the key fits, but the total thickness of this rim here is 6 millimeters, and officially I need to cut this slot at 4 millimeters, which means there will be not enough meat left here, only 2 millimeters. I don't think it's gonna hold. So my plan is to cut it to 2.5, now this is 2 millimeters, 2.5, and then cut a piece of these little keys here. I think it will be better. Right, let's do the other one. Take a break. I think this will work just fine. Now, I almost forgot to drill the little hole here for the cotter pin, but luckily I thought about it. So now all that's left to do is call the person, tell him that he can pick up his car. Well, parts of it